You've heard from us a little earlier about the launch of this new team that we call Effective Ministry, and what we want to do right now is share a little bit more with you about what that is and why you should care about it. So let me just describe what the Effective Ministry team is. It's a group of experienced practitioners and leaders who have been, for many cases, in the church, working in the church, doing things that are related somewhat to generosity, but not directly generosity, right? So other areas of the church, other ministry disciplines and strategies that we know at Generis have a huge impact on the culture of generosity, even though it's not directly a campaign or something like that. So that's what it is. But let's talk about why a church leader should even care about that. So Jessica, why should anybody care that Generis is doing effective ministry?
Right. Well, so many issues go into creating a culture of generosity, or there's so many things that play into it. And a lot of times what we have discovered is that when you're struggling in the area of generosity, you're probably also struggling in some other areas. So small group, children's ministry, other things that we, expanded into. And so that's really what we decided to do. We were like, we want to provide a comprehensive support package to churches, not, of course, in the realm of generosity, but not just in the realm of generosity. We wanted to expand out and actually say, hey, we can help you in lots of different areas in your church. We can help you win in lots of different areas in your church.
And what you said is so true. When we go in and do the generosity work, we're pulled into all the other conversations that are happening within the context of that church and that leadership team. So Kristen, talk a little bit about the disciplines that we serve and what areas that we address in that.
Well, because we're a team that wants to be as effective as possible in serving the local church, we specialize in family ministry, small groups, senior leadership, multi-site, Sunday experiences, communication, and then even senior pastor succession, because we know that there isn't just one area that typically needs help or addressing in the church, but it's really a lot of areas. And so our whole team wants to partner with you to help move all of that forward in your church.
Yeah, that's great.
So that's the goal. The goal is with this effective ministry team is to be able to provide insight and coaching to all of the different ministry leaders in the church.
That's great. And I've heard you say several times, Jessica, that every leader needs a coach.
Every leader needs a coach.
Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, I think I first learned this lesson in my mid-20s when I was just really messing up as a parent. I was like, I am not doing well,
You're the only one that's ever had
I know it sounds crazy, but I had a friend tell me, don't you have a mommy coach? And I was like, I need a mommy coach? What? But that sounds awesome. Let's do that. And she was like, yeah, find somebody who is a season or two ahead of you, that's been there, that can look back and say, hey, do this. It's going to save you a lot of time. Or don't worry about that. It doesn't matter. And so, everybody needs a coach. Most of you probably need 3 or 4. I need 5 in my life, And I just think it's a great place. A coach is a great safe place. You can't always say the things. You can't always say out loud the things that you, the questions that you may have. You can't always vent, but sometimes you do need to vent, know. And a ministry coach is a great person to provide insight, but also give you some safety so that you can unpack things, you can brainstorm, you can explore ideas, and then also, at the same time, give you experienced advice, to go along with it.
So one of the things that I've seen in whether it's teams or individuals is that overall success is really an aggregation of incremental improvement, right? Individual improvement, team improvement. So I think I love the way a coach can come in and help us get those little incremental improvements that we need that collectively can end up being a really big deal. So let's transition back to this generosity concept, because I was saying at the beginning about how Generis got into this because we care about this culture of generosity, sustainable generosity. So I know, Kristen, you were sharing a story recently with me about the work that you were doing and how that was having an impact on the generosity engagement that was actually in place. So share that with us.
So there's a church right now that we are engaged with, and they are in the middle of their second building campaign. So the first one was about 10 years ago. But the conversations that we're having right now is because they cannot figure out why they're not getting traction with this second building campaign. It's not going well. And when we took a step backwards, we realized that the first time around, there was about 75% small group engagement in the church. And so it was easy to build off the relational capital, and there was ownership, and people were excited with what was happening and wanted to be a part of that. And Right now, about 10 years later, there's maybe 25%
Wow.
small group engagement, and they are struggling to get traction. And so, really, the issue isn't necessarily, hey, let's push harder to get them to open up pocketbooks. The issue is, let's talk about the experience that people are having within the context of the church and in the context of connection and community, because obviously they want it, but they're having a negative experience,
Yeah.
and so they're not joining, which also affects their whole entire perspective of the church.
Yeah.
Because you have a negative experience in one area of the church, and in your mind you correlate that with the entire church culture. And so for us to step back and reevaluate, hey, what does healthy small group dynamics look like in your church culture? And let's start there, because that directly impacts generosity and a generous culture, and then the success of the building campaign.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, generosity isn't going to happen if we have disengagement in small groups,
No,
family ministry,
no.
volunteers. All of that has to be connected and working well. So,
Right.
yeah, that's great. Anything you'd add to that, Jess?
Well, when you were talking, I was thinking about what Jim Shepard often says. He's one of the principals here at Generis, and he says, like when anyone identifies themselves as, oh, I attend this specific church, that person on average gives $400 a year.
Yeah.
As soon as they join a small group, that number jumps to $4,000
Yes,
a year,
yes.
which
Huge.
speaks to engagement.
Absolutely.
So the
Yes.
more engaged someone is, the greater their generosity will be.
Yeah.
That's
and
right.
that's really what you were talking about, which
Yeah.
is their attitude towards the church as a whole.
Yes,
And so
yes.
that's kind of where this effective ministry team really came together with generosity. We were like, wow, we can actually engage them better, and we know that engagement leads to generosity.
That's right. Yeah,
Yeah.
well said. That's great. Well, thanks, you guys, for spending some time unpacking this. We hope that this has been helpful for you as you try to understand why Generis is expanding into this new innovative area. If you want to learn more, and we hope you do, please go check out effectiveministry.com. And on that website, you're going to see more about our team, about the services that we offer you, resources that we have available to you. And we just thank you for your time.